What is up, my friends, and welcome to, let me turn this down, another edition of the XFL, the OG. Let me put this in my notes. OG XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, your alt football media guru. We are episode 183. On this week's show, we're going to preview the games, the Thursday night games in 1 hour. XFL game takes place St. Louis Battlehawks taking on the Seattle Sea Dragons in Seattle. They had snow yesterday, 9 p.m. Eastern on FX. Remember this, I assume you can probably get it on the ESPN app, ESPN Plus kind of thing. But the game is on FX. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. So we'll preview that. Picks, we just got in the inactives. We'll get into that in a second, and a bunch of other stuff. So if you want to be part of the show, as always, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts, record MP3. We got a bunch of stuff, but that's because we have a game tonight. I want to get you out of here by 8:45. So we're going to do all that stuff will take place next week on next week's show. 888-430-7692 extension 3. We always appreciate to hear from you guys there. Also, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Appreciate that. You'll see the XFL Week in Review podcast and then the XFL Week in Review. We've been around, OG, 183 episodes. But I appreciate the shout out tonight on, I'm joking, on player 54, which, by the way, where was the DC Defenders? I figured they weren't. Now it's only 30-minute episode, and they were running out of time. They couldn't fit in the DC Defender experience, and I assume they're just going to skip over it because we'll get into week 2 of the XFL season. So we appreciate that. Leave us a review, and that's it, because usually I would go through the timeline, and, well, the time is now. Other news this week, we're going to go through all DFS Fantasy, my picks. We're going to do the news first, and we'll get into who is in and who's out. I heard a lot of feedback that people were saying that the mic was terrible and it didn't sound right, and I agree with you. I spent a lot of money on this microphone, and I was listening to it this week, and it was muffled, and so I need to work on the audio quality of this show and a bunch of other stuff. I got plans. Trust me. Hey, this is just the beginning for us too. The XFL just started. USFL is in year 2. We've been doing this for a while, but now actually we're in game action now. So I'm definitely be working on that. So if you're a podcast person, we're always looking for a producer in the future. So if you got any recommendations for your setup, definitely let us know there. Hit us up in the comments. Welcome everybody in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Just leave us a message. So what we'll do is, since we don't have a lot of time, we'll get into some of the news and notes, just kind of, players to look at, some of the content that the writers have done. We'll get into my DFS fantasy stuff. Also, if you didn't listen to Monday's episode, you're welcome. You're welcome. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What am I talking about? Hit the trifecta. Or I'm sorry, not the trifecta. Oh my gosh. The parlay. 4-game parlay. If you bet what I told you last week, you would have won all 4 games. Some of them were close. Came down to the wire. Seattle came down to the wire. St. Louis came down to the wire. So I have my picks up for you a little bit in the show as well. So, all right, we've got all that stuff out of the way. Welcome to everybody in the chat room. If you got questions, comments, suggestions, whatever you want, leave them in the chat. And without further ado, let's just get into the games. Let's get into some XFL news, shall we? First up, just want to let you know about the who's going to be doing the commentating. So the St. Louis Battlehawks game versus the Seattle Sea Dragons is on FX. It's Lowell Galando, Sam Mako, Ian Fitzsimmons, and Taylor McGregor. They'll do that tonight. Remember, FX, the game's on FX. Saturday's game, America's team, DC Defenders versus the Vegas Vipers. That is 7 p.m. Eastern on FX as well. John Schifrin, Tom Lungenbill, Harry Douglas, and Stormy Bonatani, I got that one right, are covering that game for you. That's in Vegas. Then on Sunday at 4 p.m., the San Antonio Brahmas versus Orlando Guardians. Tom Hart, Greg McElroy, Cole Kubrick, and Dawn Davenport. That will be on ESPN. And then Arlington Renegades, really the matchup of the night. Arlington Renegades, Houston Roughnecks, Matt Berry, Joey Galloway, Aaron McLean, and Tiffany Blackman. That's on ESPN2. I was really hoping that would be on ESPN regular, not ESPN2, because that is probably going to be the matchup of the weekend. On to some stuff. Juan Carlos Blanco joins us on XFL News Hub. He's got his Week 2 start and sit recommendations. You're going to want to check this out. So first off, of course, Week 1 didn't disappoint. Taking lessons learned from the first slate of games, XFL News Hub start and sit recommendations for your Week 2 season-long fantasy contest. And you can use this for your DFS pleasure as well. It seems like a switch has flipped from A.J. McCarron. He's got McCarron as a start. I'm not convinced McCarron is a start. I'm concerned, is this just a one-time thing, or did that switch get flipped? Also, it's going to be cold, and it's in Seattle. I don't know how he's going to do tonight. This is kind of a make or break. If he comes out and balls tonight, it's in. If he does not play well and the team sputters like they did basically most of the game last week, there'll be questions. The love for A.J. McCarron will be over, but his Balak offense, they came on late. Hopefully they'll carry that momentum. We'll see. But guys, which McCarron does in a form of Marcel Aitman, remember, he's a guy. Hakeem Butler had a good game, and Austin Prohl was his security blanket. Guys you need to look at for when it comes to him. Guys that are, that you could do 2 picks with. What's the term? Stacking. That's it. Stacking some of those guys. Jack Cohen, he's got him starting. Somewhat fell in the category of overlooked coming into the season after only getting a brief NFL shot as an undrafted free agent. Despite putting a 23-7 career record, 48 touchdowns, 15 interceptions over 35 games in Wisconsin, Notre Dame's Jack Cohen, fellow New Yorker, appreciate him. He looked solid against the tough Battlehawks defense, 25 of 36, 207 with a touchdown and interception. So he looks like he might be a guy to look at this week. Jalen Tolliver, Fred Brown, passing, catching backs. Kalen Ballage is a guy that you would want to put on your roster there. The thing with San Antonio, they like to run the ball. That's Hines Ward, Pittsburgh Steelers style, and they ran the ball a ton. Paxton Lynch, sit. We all know. I don't think he really got benched. Quentin Dormady was supposed to come into the game. I think people jumped all over that. I don't think that's fair. Terrell Buckley had said he already planned to give DeAndre Francois some time in Week 2. So that is another thing, though, to keep in mind with Paxton Lynch, is that Francois might get a shorter hook or a shorter leash in this game. So stay away from that. And we're leery on the Orlando offense and team in general. Starting running back, Max Borgani, a guy, have him on my list, but he was left out in the cold fantasy-wise. The Washington State product is dangerous dual threat, leading to he finished with 8 carries and 4 receptions, leading to 74 yards. He is a guy that you want. Kalen Ballage, we just talked about him, San Antonio, 84 rushing yards along with 3 catches versus the Battlehawks. He is another guy you want to take a look at, and he's on one of my lists. Sit, Morgan Ellison, Seattle versus the Sea Dragons don't figure to run very heavy most weeks. If the opener is any indication, it will be Brendan Knox, who will likely get the biggest chunk of whatever carries are available. That leaves Ellison with a minimal chance at a significant role, so stay away from him. Start guys, Josh Gordon. He's a guy. We thought he'd be a guy. He was a guy last week as well. Played well, 6 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown on 9 targets on that pass-happy June Jones offense. So that's why you want to keep Gordon on your squad. Jeff Badette, he had a great game. Came into the season with plenty of pro experience. The 28-year-old recorded the first touchdown in the XFL 3.0 history on the opening drive, 681 and 2 touchdowns. Though he kind of disappeared in the second half. He's got Martavis Bryant. That helps him, I think, as teams are focused on Bryant. And they also have Geronimo Allison as 2 other top wide receivers. But could Jeff Badette be the guy for whoever is the starting quarterback, whether it's Luis Perez is the guy, or Huntley. We'll have to find out what's going on there. Sit Jaquez Izzard with the questionable quarterback play of Jordan Ta'amu. It's going to be really interesting if that was just a one-time thing. Ta'amu gets back to what he was in the USFL and in St. Louis when he played for the Battlehawks. So he did nothing. And he's also stuck behind Josh Malone, Josh Hammond, and Lucky Jackson. Lucky Jackson seemed to be the only guy. But also this shifty Sam Houston product does have some utility in the league that counts return yards. He collected 84. He did have a decent return game. Guys to start, Jake Sutherland played well. He's going to be a St. Louis guy. He was a Moorhead State product. Pass catching ability, had a lot of things, plus A.J. McCarron. Of course, Sal Cannella is the other guy as a fixture in the USFL, played well. Be interesting to see if Plitt or Sloter gets the start. I would rather see Sloter and Plitt. His numbers weren't that great. Sal Cannella is definitely a guy, whether it was Plitt or Sloter. Sal Cannella is a guy that we want to put in the game. Sit Garrett Owens, Houston versus Arlington. As suspect, Houston's Brandon Silvers heavy focused on his receivers and Borgani, leaving Owens with just one target. So it's a guy, looks like if you got a Houston Roughnecks tight end, you're going to want to stay away from that guy. Also, Anthony Miller has top players of the week. This is something to keep in mind with your week 2 action of guys that you might pick up. Offensive player of the week, he had Deontay Burnett, wide receiver, Houston Roughnecks. Had a great game there. Burnett was one of the hand catches for a 46-yard touchdown. He had 8 catches for 90 yards and a TD. Houston's 33-12 win. It seems like Houston is the team, or was Orlando that bad? We're going to have to find out this week. That's what makes it fun. But he's a guy to keep an eye on. Honorable mentions, Jeff Badette, of course, 6 catches for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kalen Ballage, we talked about him, 24 carries for 84 yards. He got 24 carries for the Brahmas. Jaquair Pearson, the St. Louis Seattle Sea Dragons, 12 catches for 95 yards. And then A.J. McCarron also with that big comeback win. Defensive player, Trent Harris, defensive line, Houston Roughnecks. They were all sorts of in the backfield, all sorts of doing blitzes. So the Houston Roughnecks is a defense that I'm going to put in every single weekend on my DFS lineups. Wade Phillips, his history. Honorable mentions, Michael Joseph, big game, 6 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 for the TD, and that big DC Defenders. It was an upset. Let's be honest. DC Defenders is America's team. That was an upset because a lot of people had picked Seattle for that one. My wife said, well, did all the games won by the people who thought? Nope, there was one. The one that we were at, DC Defenders beating the Seattle Sea Dragons. Tim Ward, defensive line, again, another Houston Roughneck guy. 4 tackles, 6 for a loss, 2 sacks. And LaRon Stokes, a defensive line with the Vegas Vipers, 5.5 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss. Special teams guy, Taylor Russolino, played well, kicked a bunch of field goals. He did really well in his return to the XFL. Honorable mention, John Parker Romo, the San Antonio Brahmas. He had 3 field goals, including a 48-yarder there. Week 2 quarterback rankings from our Pat Ruffino, just to kind of keep an eye on. Honorable mention, Steven Montez, who didn't really do anything. Derek King, and Cole McDonald. First, Cole McDonald got a couple of rushes in there, and our own Mike Mitchell is very high on Cole McDonald. Would like to see him in. There are some Brandon Silvers haters out there. And King also came in at the end and did well. And it'll be interesting if these two teams utilize kind of that extra point offense where Cole McDonald is the guy or Derek King is the guy for the DC Defenders, and they kind of swap them in and out. Something to keep in mind as the season goes on. Just kind of how, when goal line situations are in the CFL, and they'll take the quarterback and then put in the backup, and the backup runs it in and gets the touchdown. It's quite frustrating. At least in the NFL, they've picked up on that, and they keep the starting quarterback in to get those touchdowns. It makes us happy. He's got Ta'amu, preseason number 1. He is down to 9, only 86 passing yards and a 1 interception, 5 attempts and 9 rushing yards. He did get a rushing TD, however. Quentin Dormandy, he was unranked. He's at number 8, 142 yards, 1 TD and 2 interceptions, no rushing attempts for him there. 7, Paxton Lynch, again, going with 2 Guardians guys. we're not really sure who is going to be the guy. DeAndre Francois seems to be getting playing time. Paxton Lynch, 15 of 21, 136 passing yards, and 1 TD and 1 interception. He looked good in the beginning, a little bit in the beginning, had a little flair, but then just kind of fizzled out. Drew Plitt, 19 of 25, 172 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception, 5 rushing attempts for 16. He's got him at 6. I would like to see Sloter, and he was preseason ranked 12. Jack Cohen was preseason ranked 11. He was 25 of 36, 207 passing yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, 4 rushing attempts for 10 yards. He's a guy to keep an eye on. We'll see how he does, and he could be a guy. I mean, that's San Antonio Brahma's offense. Run the ball a ton, passing, kind of balanced attack. Jack Cohen, they're very high on him, especially if you saw a player 56 just today. Ben DiNucci, ranked number 4. He was the preseason ranked 4. 35 of 54, 282 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Has that costly fumble at the goal line that kind of hurt him. But I think Ben DiNucci, if I were to rank him higher, I probably would have him a little bit higher. I think he could be one of the top guys, and he's definitely in one of my lineups this week. I think I was going to pick him, but he was playing against America's team, the DC Defenders, and I wasn't going to have that. Luis Perez, consummate, 22 of 36, 449 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Those are costly picks because they were pick sixes, but still, he threw 3 touchdowns, and Jeff Badette looked good. He's got Luis Perez at 3. His preseason ranking at 6. Brandon Silvers, he's in the lineup, 26 of 42, 272 with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He had him ranked 7th. Silvers at 2. It's the offense. Great offense, though. I would love to see Cole McDonald be the guy, but for now, Silvers is the veteran. Did a good job there. And your number 1 guy, A.J. McCarron, big win, come from behind, 18 of 26, 190, 2 touchdowns, no picks. My only thing with A.J. McCarron, and I hope he does well, it's just that, part of the problem was he, they didn't play well. It was just at the end. Can that sustain and can that keep going forward? All right. And finally, we'll take a look at, let's go back to myself on the main thing. Take a look at you guys in the chat room before we get into DFS and other stuff. What's up in the chat room? Let's do that. What's up in the chat room? Let's see. Got it. Okay. Make sure you smash that like button, by the way. Make sure you smash the like button. We almost got 100 likes. Oh, we did get 100 likes last time. Appreciate you, everybody, checking in on the program. Smash that like button. We've got a lot of questions in here. James says, what's up, XFL fans? Thursday night football in February. How lucky are we? Amen, brother. Amen. It's taken a long time. He said every game is available on ESPN Plus. Yeah, so you can just put on ESPN Plus. Moses says, Defenders got lucky against the Dragons, that's for sure. I agree with that. Steelers Nation, Australia. G'day, mate. G'day. Straight from Australia. Clint says, I think Gordon is going to go off this week. Last week he got the attention, and that allowed Pearson to be so successful. With that, I believe he will be spotlighted less and have more opportunities. I kind of agree with you there. I have him in one of my lineups as well. All right, we still got about 20 minutes left. Let's take this commercial break, and then we will get to more of your questions and my DFS and picks and so much more. Stay tuned, my friends.
Get ready for the biggest XFL season yet with RunTheSims.com, your ultimate toolkit for XFL DFS and prop betting. With DraftKings offering XFL contests with huge prize pools, you want to have the best tools and player projections at your fingertips. And Run the Sims delivers with their lineup optimizer, showdown simulator, and expert pick'em tools for prize picks and underdog. So here's the deal. Use code NEWSHUB for 10% off a monthly or weekly spring football subscription and get access to accurate projections to help you make informed decisions and make that money. That's runthesims.com. Use the promo code NEWSHUB for 10% off. So if you followed spring football and in the past, you know the information edge can be massive. So if you want to win big, subscribe to runthesims.com and use the promo code NEWSHUB today to save 10% off.
All right, my friends, we are back. All right, let's look at some DFS stuff, shall we? Some DFS. First up, first I want to look at this. Let's see. I want to look at this. I'll look at the XFL Championship futures. I see a lot of you on the and put it in the chat. Who you think is going to win the championship? This is the future odds, and you can still do this stuff on DraftKings and some of the other gambling sites out there. So they have this future odds right now. So Arlington is ranked number 1, and Houston is ranked the top 2 teams right now. St. Louis Battlehawks at plus 450. They were the fan favorite. They were at the top, but it seems like the Renegades and Roughnecks. I would put the Roughnecks number 1, Renegades number 2. DC Defenders, they had dropped for a little bit. They're right in the middle of the pack at 475. Seattle Sea Dragons, I would have them up higher. I think the Sea Dragons, basically, if it wasn't for a fumble, probably would have won that game. So I'm high on the Sea Dragons. I think they got, with June Jones and that defense, Ben DiNucci and Josh Gordon, I think they're a thing. Vipers, I think the Brahmas are better than the Vipers, to be honest with you. Vipers, they did look good. They did have a chance for it. We'll see what happens there. And then we have the San Antonio Brahmas, and then finally the Orlando Guardians at the end. They are who we thought they were, kind of deal there. Speaking of all that stuff, now on to my DFS lineup. Here's a better look at it. Here are the 2 lineups that I have for you this week that I'm going with. One, I'm going with Jordan Ta'amu because I think I'm hoping that he breaks out and gets back to his game. Max Borghi, love him. I think he is as a baller. He's a guy that you need to have in your lineup. The Houston team is legit. They have a good balance. Josh Gordon, of course, is a guy, because he's playing in the run and shoot, he is a guy there. I put in Dave Burnett. He is had a great game last week. Let's see if we can pull up his stats from another Houston Roughnecks guy. 8 receptions. Doesn't have the targets. 90 yards. The targets is on the website. And then did have let's see. Didn't have anything from XFL News Hub. So a Houston Roughnecks receiver, you're going to want to have one of him. He seemed to be the guy with 90 yards and a touchdown. He had a rushing touchdown. So he was a guy I put in there. Lucky Jackson, again, he's DC Defenders, a guy that I think if Jordan Ta'amu you're going to stack with, it seems to be Lucky Jackson. I'm hoping that the DC Defenders get it going. I'm going to be concerned if they play like they did and Jordan Ta'amu has under 100 yards passing. I'm going to be a little bit concerned. Derek King did give them a spark in the offense for the DC Defenders. He gave them a spark. His stat line wasn't that great either, so we'll have to see you there. Austin Prohl, A.J. McCarron's security blanket. You saw how many times he went with him at the end. They're building confidence. This is a game where we're going to see, is McCarron the guy? And is he ready to go to be the guy and maybe be one of the faces of the league? If he's going to be a face of the league, Austin Prohl is going to be one of his guys. You saw him go right to him during the end of that game. So Austin Prohl, you want to have him if you believe. I'm a little concerned about tonight's game with Houston or with the Sea Dragons. I'm a little concerned that maybe I think Seattle, but Seattle's coming off. They played Sunday. Then they got to play Thursday, so we'll see what happens there. And I'm always, look at that, Roughnecks defense every single freaking time, no matter what. That's one lineup. My second lineup, I think Ben DiNucci is a guy. I actually had the chance to meet his family in D.C. They were very nice, and I got a towel, if you see that in the background, from his dad. So I'm a Ben DiNucci guy. I think he's going to be another guy in the XFL. It was just, if he didn't fumble the ball and he scored and won, a lot of people would have been talking Ben DiNucci on Pat Ruffino's list. He would have been higher up too. Kalen Ballage, you saw how many rushing attempts, 24 rushing attempts. You want a running back that runs the ball. He is the guy. Aitman is a guy that everybody was high on at the beginning of the season. Didn't pan out that much. I think he only had like 2 catches or something in the last game. But still, I'm still banking on him for now. He had 2 catches for 45 yards. Not much with him there. We'll see if that changes tonight, as if he becomes a guy. Sal Cannella, always got to start a guy. I have Sal Cannella in there, especially if I really want Kyle Sloter to come in, but Plitt did okay. He did okay. Sal Cannella, best tight end in the league. Jordan Smallwood, a guy that I'm high on too. We'll see. He's from the Arlington Renegades. You're going to need some of these Renegades guy. He only caught one catch for 22 yards. We'll see if he gets a little bit more involved in the offense going forward, though I think he's not like the primary option there. Austin Prohl, of course, high on him. We talked about him, and then the Roughnecks defense. So those are guys that I'm looking at. It's going to be really interesting tonight to see how Austin Prohl does. I think he'll get at least 4 catches, if not more. And, how Ben DiNucci does with Josh Gordon. 2 guys that we want to look at, and then, really kind of focused on Houston's defense. All right, hey, with your boy, for the picks for the trifecta, your boy helped you out last week. I got Seattle Sea Dragons winning, DC Defenders, San Antonio Brahmas, and Houston Roughnecks are your winners. Here are the scores that I have. Of course, we've got the St. Louis Battlehawks, Seattle Sea Dragons game tonight. I got 16-22. I think I got one perfectly correct. A lot of them hit the over, by the way. So that's tonight. I think Seattle Sea Dragons are going to take it. We still haven't figured out these teams yet, but that's kind of where I'm going there. DC Defenders, Vegas Vipers. I think DC holds off the Vipers, but that's going to be in Vegas, 18-12. Vipers, threw 3 touchdowns with the DC Defenders. You saw their defense played well on Sunday. San Antonio Brahmas, Orlando Guardians. I will always pick against the Guardians right now. Brahmas get the win, 16-12. I don't think it'll be a big scoring game from Orlando. Maybe they'll get things around. And then the biggest scoring game, I would take the over right now. Arlington Renegades, Houston Roughnecks. I got 24-31. I think Houston Roughnecks. And there is the parlay for that stuff for you to pick this week. Now let's get into last-minute injury stuff because that's important. Let me move this over. For tonight's game from the communication department of the XFL, and again, that's been talked about a lot, that, hey, man, y'all really need to stay on top of the injury reports. We have, if you have, for the Seattle Sea Dragons, most teams are only going to go with 2 quarterbacks, so just keep that in mind, just because they need it. Kelvin McKnight, number 86, wide receiver, he's out. Paul Gratton, also offensive lineman, he is out. The only name really that jumped out to me, Brian Hill. Take Brian Hill. He is inactive tonight. Man, again, going back to the whole quarterback thing. Tight end Jordan Thomas is out as well. And keep in mind that 2 offensive linemen are also out as well. And they were having problems with their offensive line in week 1. So losing 2 more guys could be an issue. But if you have Brian Hill, which some people do, in their lineups, you're going to want to take him out of your lineups in the next 30 minutes. On to injury report, Vegas Viper, Vic Beasley. Best defensive player in the XFL right now. Concussion, he is questionable. I hope he doesn't play against my DC Defenders. He was great. He played great last week. Martavis Bryant was sick. PJ Dawson, Sneak Sweeting, shoulder. He had a good game. He was a guy. DeAndre Torrey and Isaiah Williams. It would be nice if they actually put their position on the injury report, guys. Just throwing it out there. Anthony Miller also had some of the Arlington injury reports. Nothing new names that kind of stand out, just except for this Jake Stentz knee. Offensive linemen, again, you just want to kind of keep an eye on that. Offensive linemen are very important to the league. So anytime you see an offensive lineman out, you don't think it's going to be a thing, but it could be a thing. Our own Evan Wilsmore, who, by the way, the XFL Twitter loves Evan, tweets his stuff all the time, which is fantastic. He's got Travell Harris. Groin was listed as an eliminated participant in practice today per the Roughnecks official injury report. And then linebacker John Daka, limited and no longer on the list, appears to be healthy. Same goes for offensive lineman Darian Parker. there. Your DC Defenders, America's team. Their injury report looks good, except for their center is out. So the center for the DC Defenders, which is probably one of the most important positions that people don't talk about, Mike Maietti is out. Michael Joseph had a good game. He's probable. Fado Brown, defensive end. Briley Moore, he's probable. And then Raquel Armstead, a running back. Some people had on him. He was basically the second running back for the team, and he is available. So it looks like these guys will all play to keep an eye on that, my friends. So that's it for the injury notes and news and nuggets. Again, going back to my scores, I wanted to get that in before we ran out of time. St. Louis Battlehawks, Seattle Sea Dragons. Tonight's game, 16-22 is the score there. Saturday's game at 7 p.m. on FX, 18-12 DC Defenders. I think, was it 3 of the 4 games hit the over? Brahmas, Orlando Guardians. This one I'm like, and this one's on ESPN. Yikes. I think Brahma's going to win over Orlando, 16-12. Arlington Renegades at Houston Roughnecks. Big rivalry game on ESPN2. Really wish that was on ESPN or ABC. 24-31 is your score there. That's what I have for y'all there. Let's go hit the chat room, see what you guys are up with, and answer any of your questions. We got about 10 minutes or so. Welcome, everybody, to the program. Let's see. What's up, XFL News Hub? This is from JPS12. What's up? Love the XFL, but I think the league needs to slow down a bit with these Thursday games. These teams are not gelling yet to have them play this soon in the week. I will tell you this. I believe this is the only, and I'm going to look it up right now. It is the only Thursday night game of the season. I think it's a scheduling thing. There's things going on in the area. Believe me, I'm sure they would have preferred not to have a Thursday night game this early. I don't know. Maybe they did want to. I don't know. But yeah, I agree that. Let's take a look at the schedule. I'm pulling it up now. Let's see here. All right, if we go look at this XFL schedule, we have a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Then we have Saturday and 3 games on Sunday. This is going to be early, DC. Early, 1 o'clock against the Battlehawks. That's next week. So we only have a Saturday night game, and the rest are on Sunday. I'll be at that game. Let's see. And then week 4, Saturday and Sunday. Oh, you have another Thursday. Houston Roughnecks at Seattle Sea Dragons. I guess there's something going on. Do they have to do the Thursday night a game again? So week 5, that's March 16th, the Roughnecks. That's when the DC Defenders are in St. Louis. You'll have 2 games on Saturday and then 1 at Sunday at 10 o'clock at night on ESPN2. Arlington Renegades at San Antonio Brahmas. A late, super late Sunday night game there. And even Saturday night. That's a super late game as well. I mean, you think about the DC Defenders game is Saturday night at 7 p.m., so that's a late night. Then Saturday, Sunday, and we got a Monday night. I forgot about that. Your Monday night. Oh, that's going to be a game. Houston Roughnecks at DC Defenders Monday night. Well, it's on FX at 7 p.m., March 27th. That is a game, my friends. So you got a Monday night game, a Friday night game against that's in Arlington with Saturday, and then one Sunday. Saturdays and Sundays, and then I think things start to normalize Saturday, Sunday, and then Saturday, Sunday as we get into the playoffs. So you only have one more Thursday night game. Let's see, where is that? In week 5, I think, yeah. So one more, and that's Seattle. So for whatever reason, what's going on in Seattle and then that stadium, they have 2 spots for Thursday night games, so that's why you're getting the games there. So that kind of hopefully answers your question about that. Let's see. Houston will win the championship. Damon says that. Analyze and educate. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate him. Oh, lots of messages going around here. Let's see here. What else have we got? James Mesner says, I believe Jack Cohen is out this week. I haven't seen any updates on the San Antonio executive getting fired this week. People are making up so many rumors, and it's annoying. The local reporter who reported it needs to do better. Comparing it to the AAF is ridiculous. Yeah, San Antonio was not too happy. We clarified that. That guy was basically the events guy. He was not the general manager of the team. There were complaints about the San Antonio. I don't know. Was anybody here in the chat? Were they at the San Antonio game? I heard there was long lines or something like that. Like maybe that's why. But yeah, I don't know what the guy. I mean, I saw his tweet and we reported about his tweet and we updated our story that said that he was the GM. I was thinking GM is in like general manager of not the way we think general manager is in sports. I think there was some confusion with that point, but yeah, that was basically just he's staff person, not team person, if you know what I mean. Behind the scenes kind of guy. Zayed says, looking good, thank you. Hey, do I sound all right here? How do I sound all right? Clint says Slaughter and Canelo were successful before together, right? In the USFL, they were great together. And then they got drafted on the same team. And I even asked Jonathan Hayes, did you guys do that on purpose? And there's no, it's just a nice bonus, I guess you want to say that. James says it would be interesting to see the XFL has a college draft like the USFL does in the offseason. I hope so. Seems like a great idea. At least gets rights to some guys. Yeah. That was, we've just been slammed here at XFL News Hub between News Hub Fantasy and just everything regular job. Because remember, this is all just done on the side for fun. This is not my full-time job. I wish it was. I would love it for it to be my full-time job. So somebody give me millions of dollars so that I could do this as my full-time job, and we'll be pals. Yeah, they just did their draft this week, getting college players. Drafts are great. They get a lot of interest in. It was just happening where the XFL was happening, and just a lot of stuff going on at one time. So Jared says, I got ESPN Plus and I'm happy with it. All the XFL games replays are available after the game is over. I also like ESPN Plus because they just did the 30 for 30 on the Baltimore Ravens. My man Ray Lewis. I definitely want to see that. The something of Baltimore or something like that was the show. So I'm excited to see that. And ND Nile says Abram Smith or Jacques Patrick this week. I'm not convinced about the DC Defenders offense just yet. So I would on the safe side, but remember, Patrick is kind of the backup to Kalen Ballage. I think the safe bet is Jacques Patrick because he got, but we didn't see much from Abram Smith this week. So if you're going to play it safe, I would go with Patrick there. Damon says, yeah, all the colleges will get drafted to the NFL. Let's see what else here. Jared said Houston from week 1 will win the championship. I think the top team right now, in my opinion, let me know. And I know some of you guys are biased in the chat room. I think Houston is the top guys right now. This week will prove more. Remember, here's the other thing. We only have 10 weeks to figure this out. So by like week 3 or 4, like if you're terrible, just see the Maulers, the Pittsburgh Maulers, like you're done. Like you're just done. So every game is so critical in the XFL and the USFL because of the shorter seasons. Let's see. Too Nice says, who is the RB to target with Hill out? I'd have to look at their roster. That's a good question. With Hill out, let me see their roster real quick. If Hill is out, pull up their roster. And you can look on XFL News Hub. We have the depth charts on there, but I'd have to go hunt and find in that. Let me just quickly look at the roster. I can give you an idea. Did you guys get your season tickets yet? By the way? Oh, and don't forget that Pick'em game. I don't know if that came out yet. The Pick'em game came out. Let's see. Running backs. Mateo Durant is the guy. I would say Mateo Durant is the guy. That's a guy that I've seen a lot about. The other one is Kareem Walker, but Mateo Durant is a guy that I've seen on draft boards, people drafting him. So Mateo Durant would be a guy, but definitely check He wasn't on the injury report, so I think Mateo Durant would be the guy. Great question there, my friend. Who else is in the chat room? Trying to get some. Tyler says, think Blake Jackson will be limited at all? I haven't seen anything about him on the injury report for Blake Jackson, so I think he's good to go. Tim says, can't wait to watch on FX. Me too. Make sure you smash that like button. By the way, smash that like button, not only because you're excited about some football to watch on a Thursday. You didn't think you'd be able to do that in February, but also for the beer snake. We got to smash the like button for the beer snake. James says, according to the NCAA's numbers, there are 73,712 guys playing football in an NCAA member school at any given time. However, not everyone is eligible for the draft in a given year. You normally need to. That's a lot of people. Let's see. Rock and Roll Alien checking in. You guys aren't taking over the universe or any of that kind of stuff. Do we have to worry, Rock and Roll Alien, that something might be going down? Be encouraged. The week 1 ratings are most likely an indicator of actual XFL fans supporting the product, not casual spectators. Also, the Guardians appear to be doing pretty well in ticket sales. Yeah, we're going to talk about the ratings on Monday's show. Mike Mitchell has the thing there. It's basically half of what it was during the original season. And the consensus is that, it's basically the fans. And I just want to point out, places like XFL News Hub, who didn't go anywhere and continued the podcast throughout all of this crap, where everybody else disappeared. We were the ones keeping the lights on during the bankruptcy, after the bankruptcy, keeping the fans' interest alive. So you could give us a little credit. And I've seen people come up to me at games and stuff like that and thanking me. And I really appreciate everybody's kind words. Sometimes you get down because you're like, this is a lot of work. But being an encouraging word helps everybody. So we kept the lights on, and I think basically what you're seeing is the same fans that were locked in already. They already had that built-in fan base, which is good. Now the fan base needs to grow, and I think I think it'll be okay. This weekend, I think will be good. FX is not going to bring in the big numbers that ABC does or ESPN, and then it's going to be March. I think what we're going to see, you'll see some kind of staggering interest decline. You're going to see a decline in March, and people are going to be like, oh, this is over. And then as we ramp up after March, April, getting into the playoffs, and the XFL is still around, we get past week 5. This was COVID, the whole deal. Then I think things will be rocking and rolling. Let's see. Tim Mayamboli says, I'll be in Washington March 5th from New York since I lost my Guardians, LOL. Yeah, I still think they should have gave Orlando a different team, but I think it was a lot of work. Well, I mean, they got the Brahmas. Maybe because they own Brahmas already, and that was easy to do. Chris says, Slaughter to Canella. I'm with you there. Sean says, is Brent Huntley starting for the Vipers this week? I haven't heard anything about that yet. And I'll tell you what. I heard Rod Woodson kind of throw a little shade towards Luis Perez. After the game, he was like talking about throws, and he was like, why would you throw something like that? That was a dumb pass. That was a dumb throw. Blah, blah, blah. Jared says, I missed the 2 parlays of the XFL pick'em out of the 8 to 10 questions. I would have ranked 6th overall if I hit. Clint says, as a DC fan, do you think if the beer snake wasn't taken, the lemons weren't thrown, that Seattle doesn't throw a pick 6, which sees the beer showers, was awesome? That says XFL fun football. Yes, that was a great experience. That place was dead because they kept taking the beer snake. Then the lemons hit the field. That kind of got people riled up. I mean, we were right there. Our section is right there. Great group of guys in our section. And then, the thing just, that interception and the beers flying everywhere. And that was so loud. It was so awesome. So much fun. And I'm so glad that they won that game because people left feeling good. Damon says the beer snake is stupid. Damon, you don't know what you're talking about. You must not be from around here. Beer snake is awesome. James says, hey, so is Walters working with the defenders in a professional capacity because they posted some stuff about ideas for the beer snake? I hope the team looks into it. Yeah, no, well, that's kind of the de facto place. They do have a relationship with Walters, but that's just kind of the de facto place for DC Defenders fans to hang out. And we had a great time. If you see the video with me and my wife, we're there after the game, before the game. It was a lot of fun. And David says, Mark, thanks for staying with us after the shutdown and league sale. You were the lone light in the wilderness and made so many of us feel better amid rough waters. The XFL and all of us owe you a debt. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate that kind words. All right, my friends, let's wrap it up so you can get to your games. Remember, a reminder, this is what I got picks tonight. Battlehawks, Sea Dragons. I think the Sea Dragons take it tonight, 16-22. Defenders, Vegas, 18-12. I'm concerned about the DC Defenders offense. Vegas could come out and win. I mean, Luis Perez did throw 3 interceptions. And he also threw 3 touchdowns. He also threw 2 interceptions and some were pick sixes. You take those pick sixes out, Vegas is looking good. Brahmas, Orlando Guardians. I think I'm concerned about Orlando's offense. I like the Brahmas. They're going to run the ball, use the clock. And then the Renegades, Houston Roughnecks. That is your game of the night. 7 p.m. on ESPN2, 22-31. That's going to be, take the over on that right now. You'll be good to go. Let's see here. All right, my friends. All right, that's it for this week's show. We will see you back here on Monday. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you want to be part of the show, email podcast@XFL News Hub with your thoughts, record an MP3 or video. We got a bunch of stuff to play next week. 888-430-7692. Give us your reaction to the Week 2 games. Can you believe it? It's still crazy. Week 2 XFL games to talk about. I was like doing the show. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this show? Like, usually I'm trying to do stuff, but we just can talk about games. And that's it. Viva la Beer Snake. The West Beer Snake is legit. That's right. The Beer Snake is legit. All right, my friends, that's it for me, folks. God bless as always. Mahalo. Enjoy the game tonight. You got 10 minutes. Get your popcorn, get your soda ready, and enjoy the games. And I will see you all enjoy the games this weekend. Later, as I press this button.